All right, so earlier today, I absolutely ripped through the offense, and I did my job. I said what I was supposed to say. It's now time to get to the real root cause of why this game was as bad as it was. Because, look, yes, it was bad. Tua made a lot of mistakes. Uncharacteristic, mistakes. But a lot of mistakes nonetheless. Now let's go on the flip side over here. Let's talk about the defense. And Anthony Weaver, I'm coming for your head in this video. I'm dead ass serious. Bro, I understand. Look, I understand we have a lot of new players on this defense. I understand Matthew Judon just got here like a couple weeks ago. I understand that. I understand Rasul Douglas got here last week. I understand that. I understand that Ashton Davis hasn't really practiced. I understand that, Storm Duck is an undrafted free agent second-year player that has barely any playing time as a starter. I understand that. I understand Minka has only been here since like late June. I understand. I understand. But I understand also Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips coming off of season-ending injuries. Chubb, over a year removed from his injury. Like, he hasn't played in that long. I understand all of that. All of that. I understand you have a rookie Kenneth Grant, a rookie Jordan Phillips. I understand Benito Jones is really just a rotational guy. Jason Marshall Jr., once again, a rookie. Ifatu, first year in this defense. I understand. Bro, what you did with this defense in the beginning of this game is atrocious. Atrocious. Okay, first off, let's start off with what this game is going on, right? This game, we're going against the Colts in Indianapolis. They elect to receive the ball. Yes, you understand that they have Jonathan Taylor. You should probably plan for the run. I understand that they didn't, give Jonathan Taylor a run until very deep into their first drive. So you let Daniel Jones, who was cut from the Giants, who have been ass ever since he took over that team. Ever since he took over that team, they've been ass. You let him pair up your defense, a defense that was number 4 ranked last year. You let him just run you down the field without giving a rush to Jonathan Taylor. Let me tell you what your issue is. Let me tell you. You have a monster 3-headed snake of pass rushers. You add Matthew Judon, who still had a decent season last year. You add him into that mix, you have a 4-headed killer of a pass rush. Zach Sealer in the middle had 10+ sacks last 2 years. 2 years. He has 20 sacks in 2 years as a defensive tackle. Benito Jones, he's in there, in and out. Kenneth Grant has an endless motor. He is a very large dude that can move people. Jordan Phillips, a very large dude that can move people. Seemed to be excellent in the pass rush in the preseason, Jordan Phillips. You're telling me that that defensive line, mixed with Jordan Brooks and Tyrell Dodson, could not get a pressure on Daniel Jones to start the game? Daniel Jones, the same Daniel Jones that every time he feels pressure does something idiotic with the football, is an absolute moron when it comes to having the football in his hands under pressure. He goes from being like a somewhat competent quarterback that can make throws here and there and use his legs well to just the worst quarterback you've ever seen in your life. You let that guy go without pressuring him, without blitzing him in the entire first drive? You let him get comfortable tearing up your defense in the very first drive of the game? Look, I understand they're fast throws. Your secondary's kind of ass. You want to protect them a little bit. Bro. You have to get pressure on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is ass. We let him have a career day against us. He did something that no one has done this century, since 1977, and that is score on every single offensive drive. That is pathetic. That is humiliating. You had a number 4 defense last year, and you arguably got better. You didn't have Chubb. You didn't have Judon. You didn't have Phillips last year. You didn't have, the only difference between last year and this year is quite literally Kader Kohu, Jalen Ramsey. And you replace them with Jack Jones and Storm Duck. And let me tell you, yes, that drop-off from Jalen Ramsey to the next guy, that's a big drop-off. I understand. Kader Kohu to Jack Jones and Storm Duck, it's a drop-off, but it's not that big of a drop-off. But then you upgrade at safety. And the thing is that even though it was a drop-off from Jalen Ramsey was not locked in last year. He wasn't. You could tell just by the first game today with him, with the Steelers. He was out there making plays, being energetic like he was the first year with the Dolphins. Last year, he was not locked in at all. He wanted out. Javon Holland, last year, he wanted out. You did not have guys locked in last year, and yet you still had a top 4 defense. Make that make sense. How do you have that front seven, and you don't put pressure on Daniel Jones? Their offensive line, look, it's good. It's okay. It's not a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. You have a top 5 defensive line. You have a top 5 front 7 in the NFL, and you're telling me you can't get pressure on freaking Daniel Jones? Give me a break, bro. And you let them carve out these long, methodical drives. Look, I understand. You did a decent job, right? At the end of that first drive, you really started to lock in. You held them to a field goal, whatever. That second drive, sure, they had a short field, whatever. And it really wasn't that short because they started on their own freaking 30. It's not like this started in our territory. They started probably where they would have on a kickoff or a punt. I understand it was really short yardage the second turnover. I understand that. And you held them to 2 field goals on that in a touchdown. Why on earth? Actually, no, it's 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Why on earth did our offense only have 3 possessions the entire first half, and we only had 1 possession the entire second quarter? There is 0 chance you're gassed in the second quarter of a football game, especially when you're playing in beautiful weather. When you practice all summer in Miami, when it's 110 degrees on the field and you're throwing up your guts. There's 0 chance that you are not conditioned. And you're just letting them just absolutely methodically pick you apart here and there. I didn't see a stunt. I swear. I went back and I watched the game a little bit. I saw stunts here and there. I did not see a stunt on that first drive or that second drive almost at all. You run stunts. You disguise blitzes. That's what you do. The only disguised blitz I saw was so poorly designed that Daniel Jones recognized it and got the first down on a 3rd down. And that brings me to another point. You have a 3rd and short yardage situation around the 50-yard line. Why are you sending Jason Marshall Jr. on a slot corner blitz and not having Ifatu or Minka play directly over him so he can easily come up and make that? No, like Jason Marshall blitzes and just wide open because you have someone that's coming across from the middle of the field all the way to the outside of the field to cover someone, and it's an easy short yardage completion for a first down. It is so stupidly easy. You made it easy for them. You let him hit those soft pockets of your defense because you're so ass. I don't understand that. I don't understand if you want to bring pressure on a third and short situation. Third and long, sure, bring it from the corners. I don't care. Second and long, if you bring pressure from the corners, it better be a longer down and distance than 4 yards. Bring pressure from the middle. You have Jordan Brooks, Tyrell Dotson, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson, Zach Sealer, Jordan Phillips, Kenneth Grant. Like, you have all of these guys to bring pressure from the middle. Minka Fitzpatrick can bring pressure from the middle. You want a corner blitz? He's basically your corner blitz. Bring him up as a linebacker a little bit. Have him sneak around the outside. He's fast. Just make sure your linebackers on the inside are making sure that Daniel Jones can't step up. If you want to bring pressure, but bring it correctly. Bring it at the right time. Your timing was terrible. Your schemes were so basic that dumbass Daniel Jones picked you apart. You made Daniel Jones look like prime Josh Allen. And like not even that. Like prime Tom Brady with how fast he was throwing the ball out of there. He didn't have to use his legs at all. How often did we see Daniel Jones run the ball besides a QB sneak on freaking 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1? How often? I don't think I barely saw him use his legs. And it was not like he was getting it out super fast. He was getting it out 2-3 seconds, but your pressure is not there. Like, how do you not have pressure? And now you set up for all these other offenses across the league that, maybe not have the best quarterbacks or maybe not have, the best offensive line, that all they need to do is throw the ball very quickly to almost any receiver because your DBs are that bad. And this is clearly an issue. And Storm Duck probably has a torn ACL. We'll see about that later today. I'm just absolutely baffled. Just how poorly this defense was. And then, look, I kind of get it. To start the second half, another turnover by the offense, by Tua. And it's kind of hard to really rally at that point. But at that point, it's still a 20-0 game. It's still a 3-score game. Sure, you held him to a field goal on that. It's 23-0. But you let so much time go off the clock, letting them drive down the field, kill that clock. You committed a penalty on special teams on the only time we got them to punt the ball. And the only time we got them to punt the ball. Only time. And they converted how many 4th down conversions on us? 3 or 4? Give me a break, bro. Give me a break. And I understood after the first one, the first one they go for it, you're up 3 scores, you're like, okay, maybe they don't go for this, they're trying to get us a jump, blah, 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 blah. They go for it. The second time around, it's okay, it's short yards, they might go for it, they might not. Who knows? They go for it again. The third time, bro, how do you let it happen a third time? You know they're going. I don't give a shit if you jump off sides at that point. Don't let them get the first down. Fuck, man. You were giving them just everything. everything. You were letting them get the 4 yards per carry. You were letting, like, they just ran it down your throats and killed the whole clock the entire second half of the game. It was absolutely atrocious. It looked like the team gave up. I think, like, I don't like a lot of things Brian Flores did. Brian Flores, though, he was able to create such a great defense when he was here. Like, I remember just his first year here, how he made Nick Needham look like an all-pro slot corner. Nick Needham's not on a team right now, and I love Nick Needham. I think he should be on a team. I think we should bring him back to this team because there's zero chance that we have a corner that's better than him right now. Cam Smith he's stuck behind everybody right now because he can't take football seriously. Just pounding my head. Sign Stephon Gilmore. Asante Samuel Jr. would be amazing once he gets cleared. But once he gets cleared, he's probably going to be like, oh, Dolphins are, they're 1-3? Yeah, no, we're good. Like, bro. It's just, this defense needs to massively improve, and it needs to do it so quickly before I absolutely lose my mind. Like, Weaver, do better. Do better, Weaver. Like, I cannot, I cannot say it enough. You have this defensive front. You need to just go full on 2022 or 2021 versus the Ravens. Brian Flores, zero blitz everything. Just constant. That is what this defense needs to be because your corners are freaking terrible. Your secondary is horrible. You just need to make sure that they have no time to understand where that ball is going to go. Zero. Like, create pressure every single play. I do not care. You get burned in the run game, so be it. I don't think you will. I think you're going to have so many freaking guys on that line of scrimmage. Like, you really don't even need, like, quite literally, if you just put a rotation of your top 4 pass rushers, Zach Sealer, Jordan Phillips, Jordan Brooks, mixed with Minkah Fitzpatrick, Tyrell Dotson, throw Willie Gay in there every once in a while, you have all of these guys that have the capabilities of just constantly rushing the passer. You can have a beautiful rotation in there. A beautiful rotation in there of just absolute monsters. And then just make sure that your safeties are making sure that the running backs don't go through your freaking nose and find a hole in the middle. And if you do, block it. There should be zero holes available on a blitz like that. It should just be in the backfield every single play. Get it done. Zero blitz, everything, every play. And look, it's a little excessive. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. But you need to create pressure early and often, make these quarterbacks feel uncomfortable. You couldn't do that with Daniel Jones. You expect to do that with freaking Drake May this week. Then the following week, we're just going to get absolutely trounced by Josh Allen because he doesn't give a flying fuck about who we have out there. He's going to absolutely just run through them. Like, he's going to stiff arm someone and then throw 70 yards to Keon Coleman. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Unfortunate, but it is. We're going to get absolutely demolished in that game, especially if our offense can't come alive at any point. If you can't create pressure to make these quarterbacks uncomfortable, they're going to just feed into your secondary. And then if you can't stop the run, then you're really screwed. And we stopped the run a little bit early on, and I liked it. But once they got that run game going, we couldn't stop them. We couldn't. You got to do better, bro. You just got to do better. It was absolutely atrocious to watch. That defense was the main issue. Now look, Tua, You were the biggest problem on offense, followed by Mike McDaniel. On the defensive side of the ball, Anthony Weaver through and through. Through and through. Your team was unprepared, and you had terrible play calls all game long. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. I understand our offense only put up 8 points. I understand. But you only had 3 drives the first half of the game. I think you may have had 4 or 5 the second half. Maybe. You gave up 20 points in the first half, 13 points in the second half. In the second half, all they were doing was trying to kill clock, and they still put up 13 on you. Get better.